Water is sacred to First Nations because water is life. Clean water sustains us in all our relations. It is our responsibility to take care of the water and protect it for future generations. Hello, my name is Brandon, and I'm a fourth-generation water and wastewater operator in Elsipogtog First Nation and a part of the Atlantic First Nation Water Authority. We talk a lot about centralized water and wastewater systems on First Nations, as we should, but decentralized systems also require attention and funding to ensure safe drinking water and clean wastewater services on First Nations. These are individual systems like wells, trucked water, septic systems, and holding tanks. More than 70 people from First Nations and First Nations organizations across Canada contributed to a report released in June 2025 that was created to help Indigenous Services Canada, or ISC, understand how these decentralized systems are working in First Nations communities. The purpose of the report was to gather knowledge and experiences to highlight risks and suggest ways to improve these systems. Hazards in individual water and wastewater systems come from many connected issues. The report looks at the whole picture, like layers of an onion. Things like system design, location, and who's responsible for the system are shaped by policy and funding decisions at both the federal and regional levels. The report has 3 parts that consider system risks, current management practices, and recommendations to improve water and wastewater services. The full report is available online. We have 3 videos to help share details about the report directly to First Nations. Nearly a third of all First Nation homes, more than 30,000, rely on decentralized wastewater systems. That means individual septic tanks with infiltration fields or holding tanks for wastewater storage. However, no one knows the exact number because there is no formal inventory. Safe wastewater treatment is essential for protecting people and the environment. In First Nations, the design and installation of individual systems aren't regulated like they are in many provinces. While some nations follow provincial guidelines, many who contributed to these reports shared they lack enough funding and resources to do this. Where data was available, many septic systems were old, poorly maintained, and not working properly. We actually did a survey with engineers who assess septic tank systems here in the community. A lot of issues we're having now is they're either old or they're falling apart. Septic systems are biological, using microbes to break down wastewater before releasing the treated wastewater to a soil bed for further filtering. Harsh detergents, grease, and other objects can disturb the system and reduce how well it treats wastewater. Even functional septic systems need routine maintenance and occasional pump-outs to remove sludge buildup. Septic systems need to be the right size for the number of people in the home and placed in soil that can absorb and treat the wastewater. If they are too small, in the wrong soil, or too close to wells or waterways, they can pose serious health and environmental risks. Wastewater holding tanks do not treat wastewater, only store it until it can be pumped out and taken to an off-site treatment facility. These systems require frequent pumping so sewage doesn't back up into the home. Much like individual drinking water systems, there is little to no funding from ISC for septic systems or wastewater holding tanks. The design, installation, inspection, operation, maintenance, and repair of these systems are expensive, and these costs often fall to nations and their members. We do have some people who will try and install their own. It's their property and we have no control or say, which could potentially lead to issues of well contamination, and then we get the neighbors calling and there's nothing we can do about it because there's no bylaw here to enforce anything. In some regions, the septic system fails. Temporary bypasses are installed to run wastewater directly to the ground. Sometimes our plumbers have to install a temporary shootout system, and sometimes that becomes permanent because of lack of funding. In other cases where septic fields fail, nations use the septic tank like a holding tank. Basically, every single home now only has a septic tank with it. We used to have these old septic tank field systems, but after 20 or 30 years, they break down, so we just end up closing that field and we started pumping. It becomes a daily or weekly pump-out tank. Aging infrastructure, inadequate funding, and limited capacity for asset management all present challenge to safe and effective decentralized wastewater systems. In the case of holding tanks, the challenges impact the community by wearing out roads with the frequent truck hauls. ISC financed this report to understand how to improve these systems, and contributors shared similar recommendations across Canada. Part 3 of the report discusses recommendations to address the gaps and risks highlighted in Part 2 of the report. The recommendations are organized as immediate, intermediate, and reform because some changes can be made quickly while others will take time. The recommendations are organized into 3 themes. 1. Fund the true cost of water and wastewater services to protect environmental health. 2. Create systems and tools needed to support First Nations self-determination. 3. Manage central and individual systems together to support nation well-being. The report recommends funding for nations to gather data and develop actions for sustainable systems, not just for emergencies. Some nations, like Whitefish Lake 128 and Samson Cree, shared examples of success when they had the tools, time, and control to manage their systems. These 2 nations shared their stories for the report because they wanted to let others know how they did it to help other nations. Contributors said it's important to have long-term funding and service plans that connect housing growth with reliable water and wastewater systems. The report recommends that ISKs support better asset management, help identify and reduce health risks, and back First Nation-led water management that combines both central and individual systems in ways that work best for each community. The report is available online. There is also video summaries for truck-to-cistern systems and on-site wastewater systems. Informational brochures about the report are also available at the link below.